All righty. Good morning. It is May 11th, Thursday morning here. Let's take a quick look at the markets overall and where we think things are potentially going and some things to take a look at in the market. So let's get started. Let's take a quick look at where SPX is right now. Like the last couple days here on Monday and Tuesday in these really tight little ranges. Here, perfect days for zero DTE trading here, but just flat, tight action both days, very little movement. And then we got yesterday, the CPI numbers came out, and we had some fun action, which led to almost a nothing day, but some pretty large swings in the day. Taking a look at SPX itself, we gapped up pretty good in the morning here. And right at the open, and then within, and this is a 5-minute chart, within 5 minutes, the selling began. Sold back down here, close to 41.25, bottomed out here, bouncing off of the 50 EMA here, ran back up, sold back off, just meandered around, dropped even further. So you had this nice downtrend channel in place. Looked like just another meltdown slow day in the market. We did break that downtrend channel here around 11:15. Popped up, had a nice little uptrend going, and then that thing broke here as well, right around 11:45. If you look at the MACD and the stochastic momentum here, you can see at the beginning, we popped up oversold, but you could see MACD reversed quickly here by 9:40, as well as the stochastic momentum. And we were down and then just down here till about 11 o'clock or so. That was the time right here when MACD reversed. RSI started heading higher, as well as stochastic momentum crossed back up, and you had a nice little rally. So if you were trading intraday, you had some opportunities here to get in and out and do some scalping on ES or SPX or SPY. So ran up here. You can see overall too, if we're looking at a little bit bigger time frame here on the 15-minute, you can see the PSAR signal was negative all day after that quick open. We reversed here, and it was just negative. And then you get that reversal here around 2:30 on the afternoon, that's when the PSAR had reversed. We'd already begun the serious reverse by then. But once it broke here about 11:45, again, you had this selling channel. Look at the PSAR here was telling you we're in a negative mode until right about here at about 1:45. MACD had already started the reverse, squeeze reversed, stochastic momentum pointing up, and then we were just off to the races for the day here. So you get the PSAR reversal on the 5-minute right here around 150 with where this little arrow is. Perfect time to get in here. Everything just triggered here. So you had every momentum switching completely, and then the PSAR signal right here about 4109, and had you gotten in there, you could have ridden this thing all the way up to about 4146 or so before you started to get really some reversal here end of the day. So we ended up just up slightly on the day, but some pretty wild action after CPI. Again, another reason to stay out of zero DTE trades on CPI days. Let's take a look at some of the indexes here, and I'm going to switch to a weekly and daily chart just to take a look at what's going on. You'll notice on my chart here too, this bright green is the 21 EMA, the whatever pinkish color here is the 50 EMA, and then down here you have the 200 moving average in yellow, and then the dots are the PSAR signals as well here. So let's take a look at some stocks, and let's take a look at first though at the indexes and see where things look to be. If we're looking at ES here, just looking again at the futures, The mother of all trend lines, the moat here was broken back here in January. We ran up, came down, tested it, ran up, and then we've been struggling with this supply zone up here. Every time we've gotten into this pink supply zone, we'll extend it out a little bit more here, we have sold off. So we'll see what happens on the next session here today. We are down a tad, futures at the open. So ES on the weekly, you've got it tipping over on MACD, you've got it tipping over on the squeeze, and then you've got it starting to tip over here in the stochastic momentum. So on the weekly chart, showing some potential signs of weakness here, but nothing major. And over here on the daily chart, we've had a nice reversal here since about the 4th of May, when MACD reversed here on the 5th. Stochastic momentum turned back up. Squeeze is in a nice squeeze, and the momentum started to change a bit as well. So we're in a squeeze. We're getting ready to move one way or the other. Hard to say which direction we are going to go based on all of this. If we can get through this bit of supply zone up in here, then this thing could pop. PSAR signal right here about 41.91. We have to break that to trigger a long or a reversal to go long. So that's really all stuff starting to happen right in this 41.88, 41.90 range. We got to break through. We got to hit 4,200 if this thing's going to get rocking. I think if we can get there, break through that, break through this zone, get the reversal, then I think we've got a chance for this thing to really pop higher, at least to 43, 4,400. Potentially on here, 4,300 would be obviously the next step on ES. We'll look at some other interesting things on ES shortly. And let's take a look at some of the ETFs. Specifically, I want to talk about tech in here on the weekly. Tech's been super strong since way back here. In January, you've had nothing but an uptrend. It actually reversed itself on the TTM squeeze here, and it reversed and squeeze fired positive. You're in a positive squeeze, but that is getting a little bit long in the tooth, but we'll see what happens. MACD starting to tip over on tech, but tech been absolutely killing it here. Strong leader when it broke that trend line. You've got new high here yesterday, new recent high, not all-time highs, but you've got it moving up. And look at the daily here. You got strong stochastic momentum. You get the squeeze moving itself higher. You've got MACD just trying to get up, down, up, but everything's stacked here above each other. So tech certainly leading the way. And when you look at that XLK, that's driven largely by Microsoft and Apple. And of course, let's take a quick look at where those are. So Apple been in this trending range here for a while, broke out back here on about March 27th or so, and that's been rocking higher ever since. Out of this move here, and you're just a whisker away from a new all-time high on Apple. So believe it or not, with Apple here right around 173.56 or so, and an all-time high at 182. So you're really only 9 points away on that. And Apple kind of a mixed morning right now. So is it going to take a break and we're going to pull down here? I'm expecting that we'll come back down, test this 21 EMA in here, and then maybe make another leg higher, or we just keep going. We'll see what happens. But Apple super bullish. I'd be looking for a swing trade or something as it comes back and just pounces off to 21, bounces off to 21, another leg higher, bounces off to 21, another leg higher. So let's see if we get that next bounce here before we run out of momentum here. We haven't started to really tip, except MACD getting a little mixed, but not enough yet. So new highs potentially in Apple, and then Microsoft looking pretty similar. You've got this thing also, running massively higher, up to 313 yesterday. we're at an all-time high at 349. So again, we're only 30 some odd points away, like 10% away from a new all-time high in Microsoft. That's done a little less stair-stepping. So to me, this is getting a little long in the tooth. Not showing signs of weakness on the weekly yet, but on the daily, stochastic momentum starting to, it can stay overbought, but starting to tip over a bit here. MACD starting to tip over. Yesterday really gave it another boost. When squeeze fired here, typically we look at about 8 bars or so on the squeeze, which is exactly really where you are. You're 8 bars or so in on the squeeze. That's about when it starts to tip over and you start to lose some of that momentum. So I'm not saying Microsoft's crashing or anything like that, but again, maybe a pullback here to 300 or so might be in the cards for Microsoft. We'll see what happens on the day on it, but right now it looks to sell off a couple points at the open down to about 310, 311 or so. So nothing major, but Microsoft. So again, tech, XLK powering things higher. The XLY right behind it, also doing well. So this has been well off of its moves, not to the extent of tech, but still holding up in there pretty well. The XLY is powered by Amazon and Tesla. Amazon looks to be just getting going. Talked about that in a trade brief that I posted yesterday on Amazon. We've got a synthetic long stock position on Amazon, which is doing fantastic, up 25%. On Amazon. I'm expecting, again, us at some point to get back into this 200 range, but maybe not for a while on Amazon. But I think positive. But on the XLY here, I think you've got really good momentum moving here. The only thing weighing it down a bit is Tesla. And so XLY, strong on the daily, in a squeeze. If it gets moving, it could start to generate some. And again, on that Amazon trade, look at Amazon starting to make its move, breaking out of its downtrend here on the weekly, starting to break through that 50 EMA on the weekly. So it's bounced right into it. And if we look over here on the daily, man, just a nice stair-step pattern higher on Amazon as it just moves slowly higher out here. You've got, a little bit of a triangle action here with the downtrend, uptrend here. So if it breaks through, which it looks like it might be doing, PSAR just reversed yesterday. Strong stochastic momentum. Squeeze could be firing. MACD point triggering higher. All things point to Amazon getting moving here. So I don't know if that is today or what have you, but it looks like Amazon's going to open a little bit higher on the day today. So at least another 30 cents or more at the open. So let's watch Amazon. We'll see how that goes. And then when we take a quick look at Tesla, you've got that downtrend still in place overall. It's not close to breaking it like Amazon is. However, you got this uptrend going on Tesla. It's just meandering down in here. On the weekly chart here, you've really tipped over on MACD, on the squeeze, and then the stochastic momentum has just come out of this stock since about mid-February. It's been trailing southward, but let's see if this trend line here starts to hold. On the daily, you've got a positive move here on the stochastic momentum. MACD also reversed and been moving higher. So Tesla getting itself in gear a bit here. If we look at Tesla for the day, it's a pretty flat to slightly higher open on the day. I think Tesla's got to get moving up into this range here. I think you can see potentially some resistance area right in here on Tesla. So we're going to have to break this 175 mark and to get moving a little bit more. But I think Tesla's also getting going. So now you've got the XLK and the XLY. XLK is driving this market. XLY is keeping it up. And then the XLC here, the consumer discretionary here. So on the XLC, you've got Meta and Google as the main components there. Again, moving higher, breaking that downtrend line that had been established back in here. So you got this break, couldn't make it. Finally really broke through here on the weekly, starting to tip over a bit. So that's a concern. And just some sideways to slightly bullish action on the daily there. But when you look at Meta and Google, taking a look at where they are, Meta definitely has this big, strong move going on the weekly, but some tipping over happening on the weekly. And the daily, it had already tipped over a bit. We'll see if that again gets back to oversold here, where we can then reverse higher for another leg up on it. We'll keep watching how it reacts to this 21 EMA, but if Meta comes down to that 21 EMA, we'll see how it reacts. But they're coming together here nicely. And then Google also big week right now. Some big moves up in Google after earnings. So you had earnings coming out here, and then it just took off. It's overbought a bit, but still looks like it's moving higher. So no weakness on the weekly. And on the daily, you've got this thing starting to move higher, squeeze here, maybe looking to make that squeeze break. MACD popped yesterday on this big move on Google. So we're going to keep an eye on Google here. It looks to open at least 2 points higher today. So Google super strong. So you've got XLK, XLY, and the XLC all moving higher. What's keeping the market from really popping here? And that's really going to be your XLF. So let's take a look at the XLF, which is your financials, mainly Berkshire Hathaway's in here as a financial, JP Morgan, Visa, MasterCard. This thing has just been in its downtrend, still weak, squeeze fired on the weekly, just not a whole lot of positive anything on financials, and on the daily, squeeze fired negative as well. So this thing is in a sell mode here. I think you're going to need to get this thing to reverse itself, maybe get this 21 to pop over the 50 on the daily. It's going to have to break this PSAR as well. So we're going to need XLF to get itself moving higher if this market's going to break higher significantly. If we want to see this market roar and get up into that 4,300 range and start really moving, XLF's going to have to be on board. And right now, it's just not on board at all. And today looks to be another weak day. So we'll see what things bring. And then you've also got the XLE here in a solid uptrend, overall on the weekly, but it's been in this downtrend here. So again, they're coming to a head. Something big's going to happen in this 80 range here. We're either going to make a breakout to the upside or we're going to break lower. On the weekly, everything is negative. So all your momentum is negative. I don't see any reason for this thing to want to turn and run higher. You've got ExxonMobil, Chevron as your two big ones. But on the daily, got some bottoming action here. Squeeze is still firing negative, but MACD has already begun to reverse. RSI is trying to get moving higher a little bit. And stochastic momentum has bottomed and started to pop higher. They're conflicting. So I want to see both of these in lockstep. I don't think any move up in the XLE is going to get a whole lot done until you get this weekly to start reversing. So the weekly XLE and the weekly XLF, you're going to need some repair here over the next couple of weeks to get this market really roaring. But I think you need both of those on board to get things moving higher. All right, so that's a quick overview of the markets. If we take a look as well, let's just jump back into the ES here. We're looking at a weekly. Let's switch over to a daily view of this over the last 3 months. You just keep struggling with this supply zone. Every time we get into it, we can't seem to get through. But if we take a look at the volume profile, which I am not the volume profile master at all on this, but if you take a quick look at volume profile and where we are, take a look at ES over. Let's take a look out just a bit a bit more here. You've got solid volume on ES in here, right where we've been. We're right at the end of the range here. So solid when you're looking at it daily. This is right at the top of the range. Can we get going? Are we going to get sucked back down into here on the daily? And if we get a little more granular, let's take a look at 10-day, 15-minute or so, and take a look at this range. Again, you're still trying to get back here towards this point of control around 41.35 or so on ES. I'm not the best guy on this thing, but when I take a look at this over the last several days, I can see that this magnet here at 41.35 needs to start to move up if we're going to get going anywhere. But the stochastic momentum is pretty low on the 15. But what's really interesting here on the weekly chart, if we take a look at the weekly chart with the volume profile, take a look at where the point of control is, 41.56, and where are we right now on it? 41.47 or so on the ES. So you are right sitting at this point of control where all this volume lies here. We can move up a little bit, we can move down a bit, but on the weekly, you're sitting right at the point of control on the weekly chart. So let's see what happens over the next several days. But as we keep a look at where things are and where we've been moving in here, I mean, this 41.35 just seems to keep grabbing and wanting you to, come down in here. That's right where this 200 is on the 15-minute. See what happens today if we can make a move higher. I think it plays perfectly into our strategies, which is solid on strangles. So we're going to continue to play with strangles. And futures, that's our hallmark. That's what we have been trading and making the most money on. So we're in some oil strangles here, and we're also in a lot of oil 112. So we can see we've dropped below the point of control here on the daily, heading down where there's a lot thinner volume down in here. But when you're looking at this daily chart, you've seen oil really starting to reverse here on most of the major indicators. Let's see if that continues. Oil's pretty flat today. We're really down here a little bit closer to this profile value area low here. I'm not sure I clicked on it, but you get the value area low, which we had broken below, popping back up right off of this 50% fib level. So I think we'll stay in this range. Look at this tight range that we've been in for months. So selling strangles on oil have been a fantastic tool for us. So right now we're usually around this 100 to 60 range. So we're down here around selling the 60s, and we're up here selling right around the hundreds. So it's certainly inside of this range that we've been in for quite a while on oil. So that's where we're on oil. Gold, we've been selling strangles and some 112 trades on. Gold above its point of control, heading to the top end here. If we get moving on gold, if the market starts to tank or move high, move lower, then I think gold's going to continue. But I think for the time being, we're just going to bounce around in this range up in here, and maybe this 2000 is still a little bit of a magnet for us, which is the point of control on this daily. We've also take a quick look at the dollar, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So taking a look at the dollar, starting to get a little strength in here, but I think the best looking way to take a look at the dollar is on this weekly daily. On the weekly, it's oversold. On the daily, it's coming off of some oversold levels, starting to get moving. So I think we could see a little bit of strengthening in the dollar here as it bounces off some of this support. There's definitely a demand zone area right in here. So I think we need to take a quick look, at this area. So a little bit of a demand zone here. We came down, ran higher, came down, ran higher, came down. We're just sitting in this demand zone. I think we can run higher as well. So US dollar looks to be doing pretty well. If that starts to move higher, then I think you'll see some of these other currencies start to drop a bit, but then it'll make bonds a little bit interesting as well in here. So we'll look to see the bonds start to move potentially higher, but bonds still have to move out of the zone that they're in here. And if we look at this supply zone up in here, maybe just move it up a tad, gives you an idea, but we've gotten into this zone, just can't seem to break it. So on bonds, we'd have to see them move through there. All right, the quick analysis of the market. Essentially, we are stuck in a range until I think we get the XLF and the XLE moving higher, which I don't think that's going to happen for the next couple sessions. So I think we just stay in this range. You've got that point of control on ES that we're on the weekly that we're right at with a little bit negative draw. That's my take, and I'm sticking to it. We'll see you guys all on the trading floor. Take care.